We've spoken a lot recently about the box office for Superman. It's holding well in the domestic market, but failing miserably internationally. And one thing that we've said about July is it's most likely going to seal the fate of the superhero movie going forward, because there's also another superhero movie coming out this month, and it's the big one for Marvel, Fantastic Four. So comparatively, how is it shaping up against Superman? And just on its own merit, where does it look like it's going to land in terms of box office? Well, the indicators are not that good. Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. As of nearly 2 weeks out in the open, Superman has taken $426 million at the worldwide box office in a film that has to hit an absolute minimum of $700 million to break even. Likelihood is it's in excess of $800 million. This film is very unlikely going to make its money back in its box office run. But that's for James Gunn and the DCU to worry about going forward, because this is the first of their DCU slate, which is touted to last 8 to 10 years. The MCU has already been going for what? 17 years. And we're on film number 728,204, which just so happens to be the Fantastic Four. The casting for the film seems to be, for the most part, pretty decent as well. Seems like a smart choice to put Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, and having Ralph Ineson as Galactus is absolutely going to be a fan favorite. And of course, Pedro Pascal has to turn up as Reed Richards, because he's currently starring in every single TV show, every single movie, and he has to appeal to the bored, out-of-touch, unemployed housewife, which seems to be the main focus for marketing regardless of what you're trying to push nowadays, which makes it also exceedingly creepy.
Pedro has played a father in so many different texts, a found father figure. But do you think it's safe to say that Reed is the first capital D daddy in the MCU?
Are there not other fathers in the MCU?
Oh, I mean daddy.
Oh,
Yeah,
daddy.
different to father.
Daddy?
Capital
no.
D.
I would, okay, no. The first capital D daddy in the MCU? No. I would say he's in a group of a capital D daddies. There are a lot of daddies in the MCU, if you're asking my opinion.
Okay, right, guys, can you just stop there? What the actual flying friggity fuck are you talking about? Hey? Sorry? Excuse me? Weirdos? Freaks? Creeps? Anyway, doesn't seem to get much better with Vanessa Kirby.
These are gorgeous. I think that's my favorite image so far.
Just our hands.
Yeah. As long
That
as
was
you
our
don't have
very
to
first
see,
day
as
as
long as
well.
you don't have to see my face. Terrible confession to make in front of Gordon.
It's because some of the best men in the world, so they don't count.
And let's just be complete and utterly honest here. If Vanessa Kirby was a man and Pedro Pascal was a woman, there would be absolute outrage by people. How dare he touch her in such a manner, etc. But when the roles are reversed, just like most things in Hollywood, it's rules for thee, but not for me, and all that kind of stuff. But just as a marketing, promotional tool, it doesn't come across as family. It just comes across as very weird indeed. One of the biggest bones of contention, however, seems to be the casting of Julia Garner as Shala Bal, a.k.a. female Silver Surfer, a.k.a. Silver Surf Her. Because the MCU cannot help themselves from MCUing, even in 2025.
Your planet is now marked for death.
I herald
Galactus.
But I think one of the problems potentially could be the more you see of the marketing, the less interested you're going to be in the movie, because all of these people come across as, well, complete and utterly emotionally retarded and absolutely unhinged in the Swede. And unfortunately, there is interview after interview after interview, and it doesn't get any better. Anywho, what are the actual box office projections for Fantastic Four when it comes out this Thursday/Friday? Deadline runs with the Fantastic Four First Steps expected to be big, with 190 to 210 million global box office opening. Which is a little bit weird, because if you jump to Forbes, they say the Fantastic Four First Steps box office projections far below Superman's opening. Now remember, Superman did 125 million domestic and 95 million internationally, which made 220 million for its opening weekend. So if we go into the Deadline article, they say the international box office projection for Fantastic Four is 90 to 100 million, and the domestic is about 100 to 110 million. So if we were to use the best case scenario, it hits the 100 million and the 110, that would be 210 million, 10 million behind where Superman started. However, the domestic would be much weaker, and the international would be comparative to what it was for Superman. But if it hits the low end of that, the 100 million to the 90 million, then that would be 30 million behind Superman's opening, again, with a much weaker domestic and a comparative international, which isn't great. In actual fact, it's not very good at all, because once again, we're dealing with a movie that is looking like it has a plus $200 million production budget, never mind all the marketing on top, which most likely is going to set them back somewhere in the region of 100 plus $150 million, making this a movie that likely has to hit somewhere around the $550 to $600 million just to break even. And that's likely me being very generous indeed. Chances are it's a lot more than that, as whenever these budgets for these movies come out, they always tend to be a lot higher than the companies first reported them to be. I wonder why. Now, the funny thing about the Forbes article, which doesn't share the same optimism as Deadline, is the fact that they reference Deadline's very own projections, and that's their version. It's not going to be very good in terms of competing with Superman. And if you look at the domestic and the international with Fantastic Four not keeping pace with Superman, there's a good chance it's not even going to hit the 600 million mark. And that would have to go down as another big L for Marvel. And what do they have coming up next? Doomsday at the end of next year? I don't even know anymore. More importantly, I don't care. Marvel has a major problem right now. It's chased a lot of its fan base away. It's now trying to appeal to the bored housewife and gay audience, and that's not going to be enough to drag people to the cinemas. It's now dealing with characters that nobody knows about, nor do they likely care about, and all the big characters have vanished. Particularly when you've got articles like this that says Kevin Feige says that Captain America Brave New World struggled at the box office because it was the first without Chris Evans. I'll go one better for you, Kevin. It was the first without Captain America in it. As Superman and James Gunn's DCU are going to find out very quickly, Marvel cannot operate as a loss. It cannot keep having these losses film after film after film. It's just simply not productive. You're taking big L's all the time. You're diminishing and you're damaging your brand every single movie that comes out. And even Fantastic Four, which might have a little bit more good faith behind it, because at least it's a recognizable brand at Marvel. If this movie does fair to middling, but it doesn't bring its budget back, that isn't boding well for Doomsday and the follow-up. Just put this whole thing to bed. Do your next 2 movies, spend an absolute fortune, lose a fuck ton of money at the box office, and then call it a day. Because I think you're going to need to. I'm personally off to see Fantastic Four tomorrow, and regardless of whether or not I like it or don't like it, the projections aren't boding well for this movie. People aren't just sick of bad movie fatigue, like James Gunn has said, like we've said for donkey's years. I think there is also a huge amount of superhero fatigue, particularly when the marketing is so inane like this. Good luck, Fantastic Four. You're gonna need it. I'll see you in the next video. You take care. Goodbye, Baloo.